What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and welcome to episode number 4 of the podcast with myself, your host, Saf.
And Thunder E from Border Work, your co-host.
And today we are going to be talking about Apple, the new MacBooks potentially having some major changes, including an SD card slot, maybe the end of the touch bar, a few things here. LG smartphones potentially coming to an end. This is going to be something interesting. We've got a lot of things to talk about here. Lou from UnboxTherapy breaking the internet again. This is something that I've wanted to talk about for some time. It's just mind-blowing how he manages to get on number one trending all the time. We're going to be looking into how and why that might be. YouTube Shorts, a brand new feature from YouTube. And finally, we're going to be just giving some of our thoughts about the S21 Ultra because we've both been using it for about 2 weeks and we've made plenty of content with it. Nice color there for your case, which looks super cool, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, as always, please do drop a rating on Apple Podcasts if you are enjoying what you're hearing. And let's start off with the potential changes to the 2021 MacBooks. I mean, the thing that really stands out to me, so there's a report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who is very reputable and has given lots of information in the past that's been very accurate. And yeah, it looks like the new MacBook Pros may be seeing the return of the SD card slot, which has been gone since 2016. Personally speaking, that's something that I, as a content creator and as somebody who does use a MacBook Pro pretty much on a daily basis, that's something I'm super excited about. What about you, E?
As a non-Mac user, I would say finally, because the name Pro and not having Pro features is always,
So I mean, there's obviously other changes as well, but the SD card slot. So it seems because a lot of other manufacturers have also got rid of an SD card slot, and it kind of seems like everybody was in this sort of mindset that a few years down the line, people are not going to be using SD cards as much or whatever. But every new camera that's coming out, every new Pro camera, I mean, just had the Sony A7S III in right now. That obviously has an SD. It's got two SD card slots, right? So my argument has always been, for the foreseeable future, 3-4 years, because if anybody's buying a new camera right now, if that is the Sony A7S III or maybe one of the Canon ones, you will have an SD card, and that is just so much more convenient as a pro creator. And I'm speaking practically on behalf of most content creators that we know and work with on a daily basis. It is just so much easier just to pop your SD card out and put it in without having to worry about this whole dongle lifestyle. So I, for one, if this does happen to be true, I would be so glad.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know you just got your A7S III. I've had mine for a while. And what we usually do is, Daniel likes to connect it via USB-C and do a data dump. It takes a while with USB-C because the transfer speeds don't always match. Your laptop, like the MacBook, the MacBook Pro, can handle really fast speeds. Doesn't mean that the camera can handle those speeds as well or deliver those speeds as well. Meanwhile, when you take the SD card and you just pop it in, you can just drop all the files you want to. Yeah. So the ease of use, I think, is something that I think Apple has learned. And I can't remember who posted it. I think it was Dave TG that said this is basically a Control Alt Delete or reset on the MacBook Pro, because we've heard, many things about it, but the SD card part, I think, is really important if you're going to go for that Pro market.
So the other thing is potentially the end of the touch bar. Now, okay, he's there putting his hands up. Now, okay, so I'm not somebody who's like massively against the touch bar. Like, to be honest, I don't use it too often, right? But I do sometimes like little shortcuts that come up. So, for instance, if you're on a call right now, I'll see the quick shortcut buttons and stuff. But it just seems like the uptake of the touch bar has not been that high universally.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I just raised my hands up with excitement, but the missus did show me something that she likes the touch bar for, And initially, when the Touch Bar came out, I actually was hoping that Apple would also add in a touch screen. I thought the touch screen and the Touch Bar, kind of like how, ASUS has, you've covered the dual screen laptop.
Yeah.
She always talks about the fact that, if she's writing a document and she needs to spell check, it pops up right there and she just taps it and it goes straight to the document. Things like that, which is really cool and really, really nifty, right? So I see the touch bar being something that I think is still useful because you can do multiple layers of functions right underneath.
Yeah.
You don't have to press Control F. You can just kind of either swipe through or slide through different functions quite easily. But I honestly want a touch screen for macOS, but I don't think that's something they'll do. So in a sense, I think that some Mac users, especially people who have gotten used to the touch bar, might feel like this is a bit of a regression. Just because, when you've just used it for other things than other than function keys, like emojis, spell checking, or what have you. There are many things people use it for, so it might.
There's a couple of things here that I want to touch on. The first being Apple really taking a different approach to what they've done traditionally, right? So, like the butterfly keyboard is a perfect example. They try to push that for some time, and then they reset. They kind of, obviously they didn't openly admit it, but they essentially did by giving the scissors keyboard back, bringing the scissor keyboard back. And I was glad because, again, I wasn't somebody that was massively against the butterfly keyboard, but the scissor keyboard is so much better. But it kind of seems like Apple is taking a different approach now, where they are now listening to feedback from users and bringing
paying
that
attention.
Yeah, and whether or not you like Apple, I think that's it is so positive to see that from them. If they do bring back the SD card, I'd be super happy. We've seen the performance using the M1 chips on the recent MacBooks, and I personally cannot wait to see what the performance will be like on the MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, and how that will potentially perform in comparison to some of the competition. So I'm definitely excited to see this new approach from Apple that we're seeing recently. Also, the other thing that you mentioned was the touchscreen. Now, here's the thing. I'll be completely transparent here. I have many laptops with touchscreens. I very rarely use them. Now, the ZenBook Duo is very different because especially the touchscreen element on the ScreenPad Plus, that I can see because it's in reach. So, you were talking about the touch bar. Again, the touch bar is in reach, but this is a much more interactive flat display. I'm not kind of like doing this all the time and reaching over to the screen, right? So I remember I had the Dell XPS 15 for like a good 2 years, and I only used the touchscreen once, and that was to show the touchscreen in my video. So I just like, hey, look, it's got a touchscreen. What about you? So I'm interested to hear, because obviously we're different users. Do you use the touchscreen on laptops?
I use it about maybe 30% of the time whenever I use a laptop. So, frequent enough. So right now I'm using the Dell XPS 13, which I've covered on my channel, and I use it. I use it now. So I've got, we're recording the podcast and we're talking, and I use it to just quickly tap to check Audacity, which is the tool we use to record. I think for me it's easier because just moving. I hate touchpads. I don't care whatever company, doesn't matter. Touchpads to me are just not that great in my mind. Okay. So I prefer using a mouse. If I had a mouse, it would be much faster, but I can easily just tap and move, tap and glide. Whenever I'm surfing the web on this device, and I think I'll preface it this way. If it's a 13-inch laptop, I use the touchscreen more than anything larger, like a 15 or 17. So because the 13-inch is almost like a 10-inch tablet in my mind. Closer in size.
Closer is progression. All right, we'll see. It doesn't look like it doesn't seem like we've had any reports of a touchscreen on the new MacBooks, but no touch bar potential micro. Sorry, I was going to say micro SD. I don't like micro SD cards on a laptop either. But yeah, no, full size SD card on the new MacBook Pro. Yeah, definitely interested, and I'm definitely excited for that.
So will you pick it up?
Will I pick up the MacBook?
Yeah, the updated one.
Yeah, so right now I'm using the MacBook Pro. So here's my deal, right? I like to be a multi-platform user as much as possible, just because I do not like to be tied to one system or another, right? So right now on my desk, I've got a Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, but I've also got my iPhone 12 Pro Max. These are devices I use every single day. Now my PC, my desktop PC, is a Windows PC, right? It's one I built with which the videos on the channel, and that's my desktop PC. For the laptop side of things, I like to have a MacBook, because again, it gives me that flexibility and I can switch between the two. And as I said, I really don't like being tied to one platform. So I'm super excited for the next MacBook Pro to come out, especially if it's got an SD card. It will just make my life a lot easier when I am using that. So yeah, for me, I will definitely be picking one up for sure.
All right, cool.
Looking forward to it. LG smartphones. Should we take a moment of silence? So there's just been a report that LG is considering exiting the smartphone market in 2021 after losing around $4.5 billion over the past 5 years. LG's smartphone business has been struggling to compete with rivals. Now LG CEO has notified employees that the company is considering making big changes in its smartphone business. So this is just an article that I'm reading on The Verge. Thoughts, E?
We talked about this briefly in Clubhouse this weekend, and I was very harsh. I said either LG shape up or they can just leave. I still will lean to that because over the last couple of years, LG has made so many mistakes. And I think for me, it's really sad because a lot of the things we enjoy now on, the Galaxies, the iPhones,
Yes.
LG was one of the companies who pioneered this. Ultra wide camera was LG G5. Way back.
The G5, the atrocity of a design that the G5 was with its the ultra wide camera. I remember when I reviewed that camera and I was just so excited about the ultra wide camera, and I was just like, why don't other smartphones have this? And even when it came to the LG G6, again, the only one with the ultra wide camera, people were still not moving. And then afterwards, Samsung started to adopt, Huawei, and then eventually Apple also came on. But yeah, again, they do bring a lot to the market. But
can you remember also they brought up the very first stages of AI functionality within the camera? Like, there was a simple AI tool,
scene detector,
scene detections, stuff like that, which now has developed much more. But you're right, they bring these things, and also the one thing that LG does poorly, and I'm not sure how it is in the UK market, but they do no advertising whatsoever, like zero advertising. So even if they come out with a product that everybody goes like, okay, I like this is nice, no one's gonna see it. No one.
That's true. And the other problem that I've always had with LG, as in working as a content creator, is that they are very disconnected when it comes to regions, right? So one of the problems I've always had is, and we've talked about this before, I always try to explain to brands that, look, even though I'm based here sitting in the UK, my audience is international. People really don't care where I'm uploading my videos from, as long as it's a good video. So what would happen a lot of the times, and it's been happening for the past few years, is a lot of my audience would be like, Saf, why are you not covering LG products? And I'm like, because this LG product came out 1 month before in the US, everybody's done tons of coverage for it, and now, and only now, it's coming out in the UK. Okay, I want to tell you, this is really funny. So when it was this is a few years ago, I think it was the LG like G Flex 2 or something, right? LG UK reached out to me and they were like, hey, we'd like to invite you for an exclusive hands-on experience where you'll be one of the first to check out this device. And I'm like, I sent a link and I was like, do you mean this device that I've already reviewed on the channel? Because I got a hold of it. I had to get it shipped in from Korea, right? Because that was the only way I was going to get it. And I was super excited about LG devices back then. And I'm like, I've already reviewed this device. It's been over a week since I've uploaded my review of the device, full device, hands-on. And you're inviting me to a first look right? Where I'm not even going to be able to take the device away. I'm going to have to, see it in this controlled hands-on environment. The
Yeah.
device has been out for a month, right? And this was something that was super frustrating to me because not all the manufacturers, understandably, can distribute devices internationally. But what I found, unfortunately, that LG has not been able to do is, yeah, sure, you're not going to be able to get it straight in the UK market, but get it into the hands of people who will be able to talk about it and tell everybody about how good it is. If you're going to bring it to me a month late, I'm sorry, but it's not worth my while with the stack of other videos that I've got to do for me to actually spend time covering this if it's late.
Look at OnePlus. OnePlus is not, even as a mobile division is losing money with LG, then OnePlus is still not as big as LG's mobile division. Just in terms of size. I'm not talking about profitability and things like that, but in terms of size. But OnePlus, whether we like it or not, when it comes to launch of a OnePlus device, they make sure everybody and their grandma and their cat and the dog gets a OnePlus device. Sometimes it's oversaturated, but honestly, in our business, oversaturation is better than no saturation at all. At least if you want to compare both of them. And with LG, what always happens is also LG will make an announcement and say, LG announces today, Monday, we've got a brand new LG Super Rollable DuX 0.5. Everyone's like, yeah. And it's coming out when? We'll let our carriers decide that for you. And we're like, okay, I'll never see this again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Especially in the US. That's what happens.
100%. And, you mentioned that OnePlus example. Yes, it potentially is quite oversaturated, but they understand the value of essentially free marketing, right? Because if you're confident in your product, and I always say this, you don't even have to pay people to talk about it. They will talk about it organically, providing it's given at the right time, right? Because if you're going to give something to somebody on a review basis ages afterwards, it doesn't make sense. The other thing with LG that I found as well with LG devices is they'll come out at a higher price initially, right? And then literally a month later, they'll drop significantly. So it's just like, why don't you just start at a competitive price? Because let's be honest, you're going up against the big boys, right? The likes of Samsung, the likes of, the iPhones and stuff like that. They have a big cut in the market. So what you should be doing is kind of, let's be real. We know that these devices are going to be reduced within a couple of months. Why not just start at a very competitive price? Again, going back to the likes of OnePlus. Generally, yes, they've been increasing, over years and going up in price. But generally, they will be coming in at a competitive price, which will make the device stand out amongst the competition. And again, this is another mistake that LG has done over the past few years.
Absolutely. The pricing structure is terrible. And that actually comes to mind. It reminded me of an LG event I went to, and I met up with Flossie. And Flossie came in late, so he didn't know all the details. And Flossie was like, "What's the specs?" I was giving him the specs, and the LG rep came by. It's like, "Hey, Flossie, thanks for coming over." And he told Flossie the price, and Flossie just shot his quick hands on, and Flossie was like, "Yo, here's the the LG whatever, let's call it a G7, and it's priced at too damn high." At $900, that stuff is going to drop down to $500 in 2 months. So just hold your cash. This was at the hands-on event for it. So
classic Flossie.
Exactly, and that's where it is. Where we can talk about this especially later on, but this is a great time for LG to be competitive, especially with the S21 out. And some of, we talked about this in the last episode where Samsung has taken a few things out that, Android users are used to. And LG still has a headphone jack. And they have one of the best headphone jacks.
Oh, yeah.
For,
100%.
So this is where LG can hype up the kind of things they do well and say, hey, we're still the ones that give you everything you need at a lower price.
Yeah.
We should run their marketing, shouldn't we?
We should totally do that. LG, if you're watching, get in touch with us. We will re-strategize. It would be very sad to see them go if they did, right? Because I want to emphasize that I know we've been criticizing LG's marketing, but they do make solid products, and as we mentioned, they've brought a few innovations to the market which we've not seen from anybody else, right? Even the LG Wing, I was my hands up. When I'm wrong, right? And I'll be completely honest. I was like, who's going to use this, right? When I saw this, I was like, why? But then when I actually got the device in hand, I was like, actually, this is pretty cool. And it kind of reminded me, well, now I've been watching The Expanse. If you see The Expanse, it's like, okay, so maybe that's where they got the inspiration from. But it kind of makes sense, right? And having used the device, I was like, you know what? This makes sense for me, right? It's a really good device, and it's exciting. I can see this working, right? I would love to see this develop into something in the coming years. But again, if the marketing is done right, I think LG, with the reputation that they've got over the years of creating solid devices, obviously we both use LG monitors, LG TVs. LG is a very, very well-known and trusted brand, and I would be very, very disappointed to see them go out of the smartphone market, and also the competition that they bring as well. I would hate to see that go. So I'm very hopeful that LG can still stay in the game, but just re-strategize, speak to us, let us take over their marketing department. I'm joking. But yeah, I'm hopeful that LG will still carry on and stay in the game, and hopefully, long term, we'll see what they come up with.
I definitely agree with you. Let's just pray and hope.
Yeah, let's pray. I want to talk about Lou from UnboxTherapy and him breaking the internet again. So a month ago, Lou held a giveaway for 100 iPhones, and it was top trending everywhere. I mean, literally UK, US, India, worldwide, #1 trending on Twitter. And that was just genius to me. Now, just to give you some background, obviously, I think pretty much anybody listening to this podcast will know who Lou from UnboxTherapy is. One of the largest content creators in the tech space. I believe almost 18 million subscribers on YouTube. Somebody who I really look up to. You guys may see my top-down camera setup in my studio, and that was something that I got from Lou. One of his tips was in one of his very, very old videos to use a background stand and clamp on a camera, which is exactly what I've got. But also, hanging out with Lou a few times. I was in Canada a couple of years ago, went over to his studio. He's got an amazing team. We shot a few videos together. And one of the things that I always find with Lou is that man has a lot of knowledge. Like, after having a conversation with him, I'll always go away with something to think about because he just has a lot of knowledge. And I really like seeing him do things that are different and really making some moves. So this 100 iPhone giveaway, which took place about a month ago, the hashtag was 100 free iPhone 12. Everybody was talking about it. There was millions upon millions of tweets. And today, he actually had another campaign, which was with the LG TV and PS5. And again, it was top trending in many, many places. Now, the few things that I want to talk about here is firstly, how epic that is to see how one content creator can have literally worldwide top trending hashtag that everybody is talking about. Being a businessman, the first thing I want to ask you is, what is the value of something like that? So say if a brand's kind of looking at this and seeing how somebody's managed to be trending worldwide in every region, what is the value?
I'll give you two values. One, the value to the brand is highly insurmountable. I haven't watched Lou's video yet, but I almost have a feeling that either LG reached out to, not saying he did, but if I'm LG, if I saw Lou do the iPhone one first, as a brand, I will reach out, and the amount of money I know I'm paying will not be equivalent to a Super Bowl ad. Super Bowl is in 2 weeks, by the way, which is usually around 2.5 million. I'm not saying that's how much they charge, but it probably, even if they paid that amount of money, it will still, a Super Bowl ad does not trend unless it hits a certain line of funny or it's an Avengers trailer. Like, that is literally how you have to go. So the fact that one person can do this for you without you going through all those lengths is, I wouldn't say priceless, but it's really huge. So for the brand, it's pretty big. And for Lou, on the other hand, the price point for him is marvelous. Now, for him, this is just an increasing skill because if I am him, I look at the fact that, look, Lou is a creator, but Lou also is an influencer. I know people hate that word, but I love the word influencer because it shows exactly not on that financial side, but it shows the fact that he sways people's opinion, just like The Rock does. The Rock is like the Uber influencer that we have. He sways opinions, and Lou has built up. You've talked about the SAF, about making sure that your different social channels are built up and not supporting just your main channel, whether it's your YouTube or whatever. Making sure your Instagram, your Twitter, all those things. And he's built that up. So now this is now showing the cachet of that reach. And it's genius. I mean, I love it. It's beautiful to see that in action.
It's so, I mean, just seeing that impact. Now, as we're saying, like, even if you were to spend $2.5 million on a Super Bowl ad, you still would not have it trending worldwide on number one, right? Which Lou has managed to do, right?
Absolutely.
So the value of something like that is massive. Now, I want to. So Lou actually tweeted out. So 100 iPhones 12s, you're looking at $800 a piece. And with shipping and also taxes for the different regions, because it was international, Lou did tweet that the total cost for the giveaway was close to $150,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that was the cost of the giveaway in terms of the logistics and obviously all the actual iPhones, right? That plus the influence that Lou has online, which is massive, just blows up, breaks the internet, right? Crazy. Everybody's talking about it. And, I remember when I saw that initially, I was just like, I tweeted and I was just like, man, this is genius. This is genius. But it's also a great case study to kind of show that, look, this is what can be done.
I can do.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what can be done. And again, I just think the way it was done as well was very interactive, where he had a live stream running on his YouTube channel. The hashtag was trending on Twitter. Then they would they would pick a winner at random, and then they would get in touch with them via DM live, and then he would sign the box and write their name inside the box. And again, just simple things like that. It's just honestly, like, this is the thing. This is why I'm like super inspired by Lou. Just again to mention that I think his thinking and the way he kind of sees the bigger picture is just absolutely genius. But I definitely wanted to touch on this on the podcast because seeing the impact that influencers can have in today's day and age, literally taking over Twitter worldwide. I mean, that's huge.
Oh, it is, and it just makes me happy because my brains are just, the wheels are turning. They're just turning right now. So Lou,
yeah. Lou,
thanks.
keep going, Lou. Keep pushing the boat forward for all of us. Just because it opens up a lot of doors for every one of us. So keep doing what you do, Lou. Would love to have you on the podcast at some point. Right now, let's talk about YouTube. YouTube Shorts. It's a new feature. The best way I would describe it is TikTok for YouTube, right? So YouTube is beta testing a new feature on the platform, which is essentially vertical videos that are less than 60 seconds long. There's a few interesting things really here because, number one, in order to be able to properly use it, so in the sense of using your smartphone app to create shorts and upload shorts, add music from YouTube's music library, etc., can only be done in India. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you do want to do it anywhere else, then you need to upload a vertical video that's less than 60 seconds long, and you need to use the hashtag shorts in your title and or your description. So for the rest of the world, you kind of have to go through this weird process. The first thing I want to talk about is India. Why India? Now, I think it's the obvious reason for India is, firstly, massive audience. We have a lot of Indian followers, and Indian followers, shout out to my Indian followers. Absolutely love you guys. Always there, engaging, very interactive. Absolutely love it. And the numbers that are in India are massive. You just cannot ignore the numbers in India. But what's even more interesting is that why did YouTube pick India out of all places? Well, you might know that recently there was a particular app that offered a very similar feature that got blocked in India. So it looks like as soon as TikTok got blocked in India, again, I'm not saying this is what YouTube did, but it seems like YouTube obviously saw this opportunity that, okay, TikTok was, I believe, India was one of the, if not the biggest market for TikTok in the world, right? That's cut, all right? So you've cut that lifeline. There is no TikTok in India. What does YouTube do? Swoops in, slides in, and tries to get a hold of this audience. So that's why they've introduced this feature. Because I was just like, it would be so much easier for me to create shorts using, the app as, I do on TikTok, as I do on Instagram Reels, as I do on wherever else, right? Rather than having to go through this kind of weird process.
Yeah.
So I know you've used Shorts more than I have. If you share your experience, and then I'll show my. Well, it's still more than me because it's double the amount I've done because I've only done one. But obviously, we're new to it as well. But what has your experience been so far? And then I'll share my experience.
It's been chaotic. So just a quick addition to what you said about how shorts work is the Indian market is the market it was focused on. A few people outside the Indian market have the ability to do shorts directly. So Daniel on his device actually has the ability to just upload a short through they call it the short carousel, if you will. So basically, the way shorts work is that there are no ads on shorts itself. So if it goes through the shorts carousel, there are no ads. If it will still show up on your YouTube feed, then there are ads on there. And now you can run ads on shorts if the short is between 25 seconds and between 25 and 59 seconds long. So that's if it's less than 25 seconds, you can't put an ad on it. That's just the stipulation there. Now, in terms of my experience with it, it's been very hit or miss. And, I remember we're talking about this, I put up a short about the S Pen on the Galaxy S21 Ultra, and, it kind of started off slow, then overnight it got like 10,000 views. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I believe it was accepted into the shorts carousel as opposed to just going up on my feed. So it's a weird process.
Hit or miss. See, this is what I don't like. This accepted into the shorts carousel. Like, okay, so me as a YouTuber, right? I uploaded a short. It didn't do too well for me, unfortunately, because based on my my average sort of views on a video that I put on YouTube, we're looking at maybe 200,000 to 300,000 on average. Hopefully more, sometimes a little bit less. But this short that I did, which was an unboxing of the S21 Ultra, is only on about 60-something thousand views, right? And that's because obviously the watch time on it is going to be minimal, right? So in terms of being picked up on the regular YouTube algorithm, zilch, it's not going to get picked up because the watch time, the algorithm's going to see the watch time, it's minimal, it's not going to recommend it to people, right? Whereas me uploading it, I was hoping that, okay, it's going to go into the shorts. I really don't like this current experience, right?
Yeah.
Surely, I know it's in beta, but surely there's got to be, there's got to be an easier way, whether you give the beta to verified content creators who will actually be pushing your new features. But this sort of weird process where you upload a video, which actually still goes out as a normal video, you include the hashtag shorts, and then it may or may not essentially get featured as a short in this carousel. It's very, very weird, and I really don't like the way YouTube has gone about this. I think they could have gone about it in a better way. And
it is a last minute thing.
It seems like it. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, and it shows that it's a very last minute thing. Now, obviously, the whole short video format thing, TikTok has made it massive. Instagram obviously jumped on with Reels, and now YouTube is coming in with Shorts. I'm interested to see where it goes. I really hope that YouTube can kind of fix it, because what I would this is my ideal vision. YouTube, if you're listening and watching, what I would like is a button to upload a short, but that short you know, like on Instagram, you can choose to have it on your feed or not to your feed, right? That's the way I would like it, because I don't necessarily want that short to go out as a normal video, because that's not what my audience has subscribed for. My audience has subscribed to my YouTube channel for, you know, full length reviews, unboxings, camera comparisons, etc. They've not subscribed for short videos, right? So if that's the case, then I would want it to, I would want some sort of separation there.
Question for you. If you want that separation, do you want YouTube to take away YouTube stories and
No.
rather have shorts? Because I always find that stories, even though they do well over time, they're such a disjointed aspect of YouTube, because again, we don't have the proper way of communicating with fans. Like, you can't just DM a fan, which is always the hard thing of doing a giveaway on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't actually talk to, you almost have to go to Twitter or somewhere else just to get the person.
I mean, stories, the way they've done it is, if you want to reply, then you have to reply with another story, which again just doesn't make any sense. And here's my thing, because I actually use the community tab on YouTube quite a bit, and I think that it's actually a really good way to engage with your audiences by posting images and things like that. But again, it's very limited. Like, a lot of times I want to upload a carousel of images on YouTube as on my community tab. Sometimes maybe I want to upload a short video like I do on Twitter. It'll be a short meme video, for example, right? That I've just done. I don't necessarily want it to go out to everybody's feed and be featured on my channel. I just want it as a community post. The problem with the community posts are they're very limited. And this is the thing, like, for me, the way it is, okay, YouTube, if you're going to introduce a feature that everybody else is doing, literally everybody else, when it comes to stories, when it comes to community posts, whatever it is, if you're doing it after everybody else, then you've already know what's working. Why are you still behind in the feature set of these? So, for example, community posts, again, not having the ability to post a carousel of images. I can only post one image and it can only be square, right? Like, YouTube, you're late to the game on this. Why can't you learn from what everybody else has done and straight away come in with features that everybody's going to use? You know what I mean? It's not that hard.
No, it isn't. I think they're not using the right approach for it. So, for instance, I want the ability to be able to communicate directly to fans. And I think that feature should be tiered down. Heck, started with influencers who are in the millions, so that you can actually work the bugs out, because they are the ones who have the most amount of interaction per se. And then it goes down and goes down lower until you either open it up, or you say until you become a YouTube partner, then you have the ability to communicate with someone. That's an easier process to it. And then if you're going to do stories and shorts, almost segmented in a certain way, those things are very community based. If you really want to help influencers build the audiences, those stories should not be a notification thing. They should go out to all the subscribers on it. The stories should literally, to me, that's the best way of just building the community, because that's just a community thing before it starts going out to the rest of the audiences out there. And then, have things like you mentioned, the carousel images, allowing you to be more multifaceted, because you want people to stay there more. Because, part of what a lot of people have been talking about with shorts is using shorts' ability to lead people to their bigger videos. So I can give you a short about gaming on the S21 Ultra, and you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah. Now, I know you guys looking for more games. Check out Genshin Impact, Call of Duty, yada, on the main video with the link right here. That's what a lot of people are using that for. And if you're going to place those, look at it properly and go, stories is a nice community element that can add to building that passion where people go, like, that's a creator I like to follow, I like to look at. And then shorts is a nice way for the creator to send out information that says, hey, I'm doing something cool. It's like a little trailer if you want to. Or you can make it just
essentially
many shorts, whatever you want to.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done on YouTube Shorts. Are you using YouTube Shorts? What do you think about it? Drop a comment below on YouTube and let us know what you think. I'm interested to see where it goes. Obviously, if it is a feature that picks up and it's something that I think is interesting, then I'll definitely be using it a little bit more. Right, See, the
Yes.
S21 Ultra, we've been using it for about, I'd say, coming towards 2 weeks now, both of us.
Yeah.
My impressions over 2 weeks. Myself and E generally do longer term reviews, so we won't drop a review. After a week or two. It's usually after a month or two that we try to use devices extensively. But we thought we'd share some of our initial thoughts. I've really enjoyed using the S21 Ultra. In my opinion, pretty much everything we asked for from Samsung, they've brought over. That, from what we asked from the S20 Ultra, they've kind of looked at that list. And I was saying in my video that it almost feels like somebody from Samsung was watching my review video with a with a notepad and saying, okay, yep, sure, this.
With the S Pen. With the S Pen.
Because pretty much everything that I asked for was there. I mean, I absolutely love the display, and I think I would go as far as saying that the display on the S21 Ultra is the best display on any smartphone right now. Would you agree?
I would agree, but I think that part. I think Samsung tries to do that every year. So for me, that's almost a given that one of their devices always tends.
So last year it was a little bit controversial because if you look at the likes of the OnePlus 8 Pro, the Oppo Find X2 Pro, they all had really good displays. Arguably, I had some issues with my OnePlus 8 Pro display, but we had the likes of Quad HD plus resolution with 120 hertz display, right? Which no Samsung devices had. So it could be argued that, I still think my Note 20 Ultra had the best display because I look at it as a whole. I'm looking at the brightness, peak brightness, and just the overall experience, right? So I think last year, but I think right now just clearly has the crown for the best display.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's just last year, 120 hertz, all the devices that had it at Quad HD plus, the battery life was like toilet paper. It just went away.
All right, so this brings me on to the battery life of the S21 Ultra. So I've got mixed feelings on this right now, but I'm still obviously going to be spending more time on it. I have the Exynos version. Now, from what I've been hearing, I've been speaking to a lot of friends with the Exynos version. They're still getting excellent battery life on the Exynos version. I would say mine has been good, not exceptional. But again, it's still early days, so I don't want to give anything conclusive as yet. You've got the Qualcomm version. What is your experience been?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. That's all I gotta say. Well, at least for me, just because I'm a Note user, and my Note 20, I will come into the office around 9:10, and by the time I get back home around 8, it's a 15%. Now, I still haven't used the S21 Ultra as extensively as I use my Note. So again, bear that in mind. But while gaming with it, which is what I kind of use as my judgment test because I'm draining battery faster, battery drain has been much less with it. Much less.
So the 5 nanometer efficiency improvements seem to be on point.
And also an extra 500 milliamps, right?
Hey, that always helps, yeah. But no, I mean, so I'm my Qualcomm version is coming soon, so it should be here within the next week or so. And then once I've kind of extensively used both versions, then I can give you my proper findings in a month or so. So I've had a real experience of using both devices. Cameras. So for me, again, I'm very happy with the cameras overall. I think Samsung has listened once again. A few of the issues that we talked about is the focus enhancer mode, which kind of solves the issue of the very limited focus that you get on the primary camera, which can look beautiful in certain situations, but in other situations it can be like, why is this thing not in focus, right? So I like that. The zoom is excellent. The selfie camera, I think, has also been improved with the fair and not fair tones that you can choose, the bright selfies and the natural selfies, which I really do like as well. The one area which I'm definitely, a little bit, well, not a little bit, I would say very disappointed on is the portrait mode. So you still can only do portraits with the primary camera, and when you do portraits at 2 times, is still using the primary camera, so it results in very
Scrubs
soft.
in, yeah.
Yeah, so I was hoping that they would the reason why they had the 3 times telephoto, I was hoping, was to be able to shoot portraits with that lens, which would be the equivalent of around I'd say around 70 millimeters, whereas
Yeah.
right now the iPhone being at around 2.5s gives you around the 65 millimeter focal length, which I think looks really, really good. I know, you think it makes me look chunky, but thank you. I appreciate that because I like looking chunky.
Oh man, no, I mean, I hear you with the portrait mode. I think though that to me that's something that's easily fixable because you can actually send a software update to just select that camera to do that. And maybe this is also one of those cultural things that they still haven't passed through because that softer image, that fairer image is still something a lot of Asian manufacturers like to bring into the market. And maybe that's something that they still haven't fully, which is why they were like, okay, we'll give you a tone selection, right? You can pick a tone that fits you, but we still want that softness. And you know, I'm gonna give a shout out and pimp out Board Fem's channel here because she has a photo shoot video coming up solely on the front-facing camera of the S21 Ultra. And
Interesting.
and her thought process is, you know, women love their selfies and we love that beautification as much as possible.
That's
So
very interesting. That's very interesting. So, Board Femme is the channel of E's partner, Grizel, who's awesome. Definitely do check out her channel as well. I'm interested to see this because you're very right. It does come down to personal preference. A lot of people do want a bit of beautification. And, I think Snapchat and Instagram filters are testament to that. So many people use that. Now, me personally, a lot of people ask me, how does this camera perform using the Instagram or Snapchat app? Now, me personally, I take images because, my process is I go out, I take lots of images and videos, and then I'll choose what I want to share on social media. I don't immediately take something and share it, right? And this is something that, that's my sort of process. And a lot of people used to always ask me, Saf, how are you uploading from Android and still get amazing quality? And I'm like, because I'm not using the in-app camera, right? I'm
yeah,
using the camera itself, which has all of that processing and all of that AI that gives you those stunning images. Then I'm uploading. Now, having said that, the S21 Ultra Samsung has optimized it for Instagram, correct?
yeah.
To be able to get the best out of the camera, even within these apps. So don't get me wrong. But yeah, it is down to the person. And, you're saying that Grizel does like this beauty mode, which is totally understandable. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with preferring that. But I really like that Samsung's giving us these options now.
You do bring a good point, though, because it's even the same thing with the camera. I've seen her, like, she want to take photos of food and she doesn't open up the camera app. It's the Instagram app first. And even like, she's an iPhone user first. And even on the iPhone, I always say, like, look, the reason I don't like that, even though it uses, it actually uses Apple's APK for the camera, is that things like focus, things like, just reducing the, the brightness and stuff like that isn't in that camera. And you're not going to get the post-processing of the iPhone camera. Smart HDR is not going to come through because that's done through the camera app itself. You get the camera functionality. And then, I show her and she does it and she's like, oh, it's better. But she still go back to
Yeah, so it comes down to the user. But I think generally speaking, I think Samsung is overall onto a winner right now with the S21 Ultra. I really do like it. It is my daily driver alongside my iPhone 12 Pro Max. So one of my SIM cards is in the S21 Ultra and it's going to remain in this until we get another device that we will be reviewing. I think overall Samsung has done very, very well. Of course, we'll be doing a lot more extensive testing and dropping our full reviews. But I would say, obviously, it's not perfect. No smartphone is. But I think, Samsung has really nailed a lot of the asks that we had from previous generations and brought them to the S21 Ultra. What would you say, E?
I would agree on almost all those aspects. I think camera. But I think for me, though, the design, and honestly, okay, I'll put it this way. Saf's favorite color is black. And I always make fun
Really?
of it. I'm like,
I don't think
I'm like,
people knew that.
yeah, yeah. So if you're listening, Saf is wearing all black right now, which he does all the time. But
It's no surprise.
I remember when we spoke about, I was going to go get my hands on, and I was like, I probably have to spend more time with the silver version. And once I looked at the black, I was like, man, this thing looks beautiful.
So good.
It is
so good.
absolutely beautiful. So I'll give them with the colors this time. Even some of the other colors that they have that's specifically on Samsung's website, the Phantom series, because everything's Phantom something, right? They all look really nice. So I give them on just giving consumers the option. Granted, most people will still buy the black anyway.
Yeah, no, that's true. This is true, but this is the thing with Samsung. Like again, like one of the things I was complaining about on the S20 Ultra last year was it was very bland, right? Because the design was just like any other, and it was just like okay, and it was glossy, which meant it was just a fingerprint magnet, right? Yeah. Now I mentioned all of these things in my review, and as I said, I'm not, obviously it wasn't just my reviews; other people mentioned it as well. But it looks like Samsung kind of like really looked and was like, all right, look, we're going to give matte finishes on all of them. They actually They actually have a new camera module design because, let's be honest, smartphones are starting to look very, very similar now. So having the camera module, which kind of melts into the sides, again, I'm a fan. I think it looks really good. And yeah, the black, I know they spent a lot of time at the keynote talking about the black version, right? And it's funny because Marquez in his review was kind of talking about, he goes, it's totally justified because this black is amazing. And I'm like, yep, my man, he's on the team black. So yeah, very much liking the design as well. And right now, I don't think there's anything else that looks like the S21 Ultra in the sense where the design kind of blends into the camera module and things like that.
Oh no, absolutely. I think they should keep this design language. I mean, that's something Apple has benefited over the years of having a design language. And they learned this from auto companies, right? Your car design doesn't change for 4 years. The front might change a little bit, the back might change year after year, but the general design stays the same. The iPhone has done that generation, right? And I think maybe this design is one that I think Samsung should keep, where they can refine things here and there, but that blended look with the camera really goes along, because anyone else who does that is copying Samsung at this point.
Yeah, we'll be doing more coverage as time goes by. They've come in very early. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be getting them very, very soon. And yeah, I think there's still that pre-order deal as well. For me, I think really sells the S21 Ultra, because a lot of people have been asking me, should I buy it? And I'm like, you know what? Right now, if you buy it, you get the Galaxy Buds Pro and a smart tag included. I'm like, those are worth £250. So
Plus
that's
the trading offers as well.
Oof, yeah.
Pretty good.
So, yeah, I know this segment is not sponsored by Samsung, by the way. we just like the phone, and we think that they've really done good this year. And credit given where it's due, they've done well, and it really sets a benchmark for the smartphones that will be coming out in the rest of the year. We'll all be comparing them back to the S21 series.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to check out more devices this year. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It will be, and we'll be covering them all as and when they come out. And that's all we have time for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please do leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. It really does help the podcasts get recommended to more people, and also join in on YouTube. The clips all go up on YouTube, and we really enjoy everybody getting involved on social media. Feel free to suggest topics on Instagram, SuperSaf Speaks, Twitter. If you suggest some topics, they might be featured in future episodes. Thanks for watching and listening. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks with my co-host
Thunder E from Board of Work.
We'll see you next time.